Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the hillside. What you see in front of you here is about to be my final harvest for this cherry tomato plant. It's on a container growing in the front porch. And look right there is the last of the fully ripe cherry tomatoes. There's one green one, but overall the plant's looking kind of shabby. It's had better times, and well, it's time to move on because I need to repurpose this pot for something else. But these were from the dollar store. These were the 25-cent pack or the 4 for $1. They just said large sweet cherry tomatoes, something very generic. But quite honestly, I did these winter sowing. I never tried that before. Planted these late. I put a video, did a video about that, the winter sowing peppers and tomatoes. Yeah, so for a 25-cent pack of seeds, I got all these tomatoes. I've eaten more than I can count. And this plant is just, it's just spent. You know, you can tell the leaves are kind of yellow, dying off and everything like that. But anyhow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to harvest the rest of these tomatoes, and I'll be right back. All right, and there we are. This is just the last of the tomatoes, probably close to a dozen on the plant right there. And like I said, I've already probably had 2 dozen off this already, so great investment for 25 cents. And this year, kind of a little experiment, had to kind of trellis up the tomato vine up the railings here of my front porch, and it did just fine. But now it's time to move on, and it's going to be planting something else as you're getting ready for those fall crops. So my word of advice is once a plant starts to kind of do this, it's better just to count your losses, take, just be thankful for what you got, and then just make a harvest. Get ready for the next season, plant something else, and move on. So that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this tomato out of this pot, and then I'm going to try to plant some asparagus seeds. These are the Mary Washingtons, So Easy, by Ferry Morris. I think it's a little late in the season to be starting these, as you probably would want early in the spring. But my idea is I get this tomato out of here, get the asparagus seedlings going, and they're going to have plenty of time. This is August 10th, I think, August 9th, August 10th, something like that. And they're going to have until probably early November. We usually get a frost around October 20th or so. So right towards the end of October, 1st of November maybe this year. It's been awfully hot, so predicting maybe a late frost this year. Anyways, I think that's going to be enough time for these guys to sprout, get somewhat established, and then I'll go ahead and keep this pot inside my greenhouse, keep it insulated, give the seedlings the best chance they can to survive. So that way in the spring, when they do break dormancy, they're already going to have a head start because you don't want to harvest asparagus from your first year seedlings anyways, or even your second at that point, and very lightly on your third year. So there you go. But so I'm going to go ahead and rip this old tomato out, tell it thank you for all the nice tomatoes it's provided me one last time, and we're going to just go ahead and keep this cycle going, get this full of compost, and I'll show you how I'm planting my asparagus seeds. So just hold on, I'll be right back. All right, so just like that, out with the old, in with the new. I topped this pot up with some of my municipal compost. My last video I did was about spreading compost and getting compost from municipal sources. I know it may be controversial to some, but I've never had any trouble with it, so I'm just going to keep going with what works. So anyways, here you go, a nice pot full of dirt here, actually compost I should say. This package here says planting to 1/2 inch. I don't know how deeply or how, I guess how densely I'm going to plant these, but go ahead and dump some on the soil here. I might as well just dump the rest of the pack. There's not that many left. Okay, sorry about that. So I went ahead and dumped the rest of these out onto the top of the soil. I'm just going to carefully kind of space these out. I don't ever get too worried about, the package says 3 inches, 4 inches, whatever. Just go by your eye, especially with these pink seeds. It's So Easy kind. Especially for something like this where, how many asparagus plants do you really need? I mean, even if you love asparagus, eventually you're going to get tired of it. So spacing out like this helps you out when you thin it out, etc., etc. So what I like to do is just kind of, I do a little different than most people. Other people might just push the soil down, the seed down into the soil like this and kind of cover it up. That's fine. There's no harm in that. And especially with a seed like this where it's pink, you're able to see what you're doing. Something like that. So it's not going to be, you're not going to know, you're not going to miss the seed, as I'm trying to say. Sorry, I cannot get the words of mouth today. Sorry. So that's one way to do it. What I like to do is take the compost and spread it on top a nice even layer. So if I know I need 1/2 inch of soil on top of these to bury the seeds, I'll just add a 1/2 inch of compost on top and pat it down pretty firm and then water it in. Why do I do that? Because when you have smaller seeds like carrots or celery or dill or something like that you're using, radishes and turnips, the brassica family, really small seeds, trying to do this will drive yourself crazy. Plus, the seeds are brown and or black, and you're never going to see them on top of your nice dark soil like this, so how are you going to push them all in? You go crazy. I mean, you could try to, like, you know, thin them out and do one seedling here and there, or just mass plant them like you would carrots, maybe spread them thick, and then, you know, go from there and try to thin them out. Or you can place them where you know ahead of time, cover them in soil gently, and then you're just going to water it in, which will reduce the need for thinning, which disturbs the roots less, lets the plants get more established, helps you get even more uniform growth. So therefore, if you need to transplant just a couple out right there, you can just pick the ones and transplant them out. If they're all matted together, you know, you might take 3 or 4 out, which is fine. It's called pricking out. You take out a little clump of 3 or 4 seedlings and very gently space them apart, put them in new containers, or thin them out, transplant them to other containers, whatever you may not need to do. But yeah, so that's how I do it. You guys can do what works best for you. So there's that, and I'm going to show you one last thing I'm planting today, but we're going to have to go up to the hillside to the newly composted garden to show you what I'm doing up there, and a little bit different than how I'm planting the seeds here, as I just mentioned. So let's go check that out and see how that's different today. All right, so here we are on the hillside up on the top garden here, and as you can see, the soil's nice and dark, so I put a very deep layer of mulch on here, of compost, from the same source. You know, I showed the video how I spread it out. So all I'm doing here is just trying to make a flat seed bed. Don't get too worried about it being imperfect or something like that. If you find a big rock, you know, you can move it, that's fine, but don't worry yourself over stuff like this. So what I'm gonna do here is I have these Danvers Half long carrot seeds, and like I mentioned before with the asparagus, if you try to count these out and push 1 seed per every 2 inches or whatever it claims you need to be doing, you're gonna go crazy. So when I do it for carrots, I just kind of very gently, kind of very lightly try to sprinkle these out. And there you go. I mean, can you really tell where the seeds are? If you know what you're looking for, it is possible. But imagine trying to go through with your finger and tamp each one of these down to its prescribed depth. Not really that easy. So all you really do is you drag some compost, some fine soil you want to put on top of your seeds, cover those up, and then water them in really well. And if you really need to with the carrots, which is very important, if you don't, you will get all top growth and no root development, which I have found out from personal experience. So it's very important to thin your carrots out like they all tell you to do. So that's all I got going on today, guys. A little bit of a fall crop preparation and planting here on the hillside. Hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and tell your friends, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys.